we'll start from here. All I did was turn it on, make sure that you know how to put these pieces together. So what I would do is I would take it apart, put it back together. Yeah?
Yeah.
But maybe not use this. This is, if you use it, it's dirty. So I would use it and then label it, yeah? So that you guys can practice with it. Does that make sense? Now, all I did was turn it on, came to this screen. It's doing a low range cal by itself. You guys might not know this because you're not as old as some of us. This does a low range cal every 8 hours. The old machine, you had to do a low range cal manually, okay? So every time you come to a machine, if it's on a patient and it asks you, did you do a low range cal? Yes, I did. Because it automatically does it every 8 hours. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So it's not asking you if you physically did it anymore because the machine does it. It's like a smart machine now, okay? So it's doing the low range cal. It's gonna give you a bunch of questions. We're gonna go through those questions very slowly because you have to read them in order to understand them. But it's not hard. It's just a lot of steps, okay? So this says, this is making sure you have everything set up. If you already know how to set this up, you can skip this whole process. So it's kind of like a goofy process, right? For me, it slows me down. It's saying confirm that you have the water trap bottle and water separator cartridge. That's this.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you have your sample line goes to your cartridge is right here, and your water trap is right here, right? Because if you don't have this, it won't calibrate properly. You have to have a water trap. Okay, hit next. Connect the injector module cable and tubing to the injector module and the INO Max DSIR. That's what this is. This is your injector module. This is your cable that gives you your feedback to the machine. And this is your dosing line, right? They both attach together. And there's a picture there. Okay, so hit next. Verify the main power supply indicator light is green. Just that you're plugged in. Load 2 INO Max cylinders on the cart. They're already loaded, right? It says check the expiration date. Down here where your barcodes are, there's an expiration date. It says January 2027. Okay. But the company stays on top of that as well. They come out and if something needs maintenance, they'll take it. If the tanks are overdue, they'll take them. Okay, hit next. Connect the INO Max regulator to the INO Max cylinder. Connect the regulator hose to the INO Max gas inlet. So this is the regulator. It's already attached. And then you got to make sure that this cable, this is your gas cable, is connected to the back. Okay? You also should know how to disconnect this. It's really weird. It's not hard, but it doesn't just come out. You have to push this little sleeve forward and then pop it off. Okay? And then push it back in and it just locks. Okay? Hit next. Connect INO blender inlet hose to INO Max DSIR blender gas. So basically, this part is telling you how to set up your blender. So blenders are blenders because why?
Because we blend.
Blend what?
The oxygen and INO.
Yeah, or two gases, right? So you have to have two gases. This is one gas. That's our oxygen. This other side is going to be your nitric oxide. So the nitric oxide has to come and be attached here. This little sleeve stops people from taking it off, but I want to show you what it looks like on the inside. You squeeze these little things, and there's a sleeve just like the other one. Okay, so that's connected. You take this white, like protective sleeve, and it locks, so nobody takes that off. And they look kind of similar, but that's to show that it's different. Don't ever disconnect. You don't need to, right? Because that's gonna stay. So your blender is connected on the back. Hit next. Confirm INO Max DSIR cart infrared cable or transport regulator cap assembly is connected. So there's little tanks that are on the front, and it tells you if the cylinder is turned on or turned off. That is based on your infrared cable. That's this black cable. Okay, so that's attached. That comes down to this platform, and there's a reader right on top of your two tanks. So that's reading, if the tank is there, it's reading it, and if it's turned on. So let me just show you something real quick how this works. Okay, we finished that, but I can't show you until later. So basically what I'm gonna do later on is I'm gonna cover the tank with my hand, and it'll show that there's no tank there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the infrared. So I just want you to know how infrared signal works, yeah? Okay, so now that was just to make sure you have everything set up properly. Now we're gonna go into the actual pre-use check, okay? So the pre-use check, there's 6 steps here. This is only the purge section. So verify the regulator is connected to the cylinder at the back of the INO. It's connected, right? Hit next. Open the cylinder valve, so open it up, lefty-loosey. Verify the pressure is at least 500. Do we have at least 500?
Barely.
Yeah, we'll just use it for this reason. So it's really low, we're just using it for training though, okay? So we're gonna hit next. Okay, so we're gonna turn it off. Okay, and now it's saying so we're gonna check that for 30 seconds. Whatever pressure you get, let's say it's 1,000, right? So you get 1,000, and we're gonna let it sit for 30 seconds to see if there's a leak. So we're trying to see if there's a leak from our cylinder all the way to the back of the machine, okay? It's just like a leak test,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So we don't have to wait 30 seconds. Let's go to next. Confirm injector module is outside the patient circuit. Yeah, I'm not even set up yet. Again, it's just making sure that we're not on the machine. Press next. Now it's purging. So if it's purging, your gas is gonna go down, right, to 0, because it purged. It won't purge if you don't have the tank off though, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have it still on, you're gonna say it's not purging. Somebody forgot to turn it off, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna see your alarm came up, and then it's gonna clear.
Open cylinder.
Okay, open cylinder, hit next. And now we have to have this connected to a flow of 10 liters. Since we're not connected back here, let's use this. You just need a flow, right? Okay, we're at 10 liters. Okay, so the first thing we're going to test is this. This is called our backup. So every machine has a safety mechanism, right? There's safety alarms, and there's like, what if the power goes out? What if the gas source gets disconnected, right? There's always some kind of backup alarm. If this screen fails, the backup is flipping the switch. So this tells you you're going to give 250 mLs per minute. It's not going to give you a precise dosing, but you're dosing the patient. So you go from, let's say 40 parts per million to we're not sure, but you're still giving nitric oxide, which means now the patient's not going to have a rebound effect. Okay, so you're still dosing them. There's the safety is there. So we're testing the system. So go ahead and flip it, and then hit next. Okay, so now we're just waiting for these numbers to come up. Once these numbers come up, we know it passes calibration. So we're waiting for an NO2 of less than 1. We're at 0.2, so we're good. We're waiting for an NO reading of 14 to 26.
Do we want to wait for it
We're
to get
good.
to 26?
No, that's fine. We're in that range. Okay, so our test is complete. So turn it off and hit next. Oh, it says verify that our flow meter is still at 10.
Still.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's going to go into the calibration of the machine itself. So we
Okay.
did the backup, now we're doing calibration. It's going to automatically set to 40 parts per million. You don't have to do that. It's going to do it. So hit next. And now we're waiting to see these numbers. So now it's calibrating itself. Saturate or FiO2 delivered is already in range. NO2 delivered is already in range. We're just waiting for NO to come up to 35 to 45 parts per million. Now, no, we set a dosing of 40, right? It's going to come up to 35 to 45 parts per million. This brings up a good point. If you dose 20, do you have to see 20 on your monitor? Do you?
I would think.
No. It's going to be a range. It's okay that it's a range. It doesn't have to be precise. You don't chase numbers on this machine.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're within range. Hit next. If test is complete and it says it'll return to 0, hit next.
Turn oxygen off.
Turn the oxygen flow meter off. All right. Okay, flow meter, and connect to the front of the INO blender. So what we're doing now is we're taking this. This is our flow. Our flow is going to come from our blender. So what are we doing? We're now going to check to make sure that our blender is accurate, right? Or calibrate our blender. So again, if we're testing the blender, we have to have 2 gas sources. We have one, which is our INO. Our oxygen's not attached, so it's attached to the oxygen. Or else we're not going to blend, right? Okay. Remove injector module from pre-use setup and reconnect. All it's saying is take the injector module out. So it wants you to do this. Okay. So what are we going to have now? We're not going to dose the patient. We're giving them flow from our blender, which is going to be dosed, and we're sampling them. So hit next. Set our dosing to 40. And increase the flow to 10. Hit next. And now we're just waiting for that. That's it. So I've rarely ever, I don't think I've ever used this before, the backup, but I have used this to back the patient.
Because you have to back them.
Exactly. So whenever you're going to take the patient off the vent, turn your dosing to 0, because you can't keep dosing the circuit, and just go to the blender and bag.
Okay.
Okay? We've calibrated so we know it works. Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it works. And if you're bagging the patient and you have to see numbers, because you're that kind of person that has to see numbers, you can just take the sample line off your circuit and put it on your ambu bag. But that's work, right? If I'm coding the patient, am I going to be worrying about disconnecting and reconnecting? I'm going to be taking care of the patient. But I just want you to know you can get that if you want to. Make sure you turn this on snap. Okay, so we already passed, and we hit next. Okay, so it says if you're not going to start within 10 minutes, then turn your cylinder off and depressure the line, okay? So first, let's go ahead and take this and put it back together the way it was. Yeah, it's this way.
That one?
Yeah, that goes on that end. This goes on this end.
How do you know that?
Because I've done it 10,000 times.
How will I know that?
Because you should be practicing 10,000 times. This is one of 10,000. Okay? You just have to practice.
So how do I know it's like with the little...
Okay, so this is turned off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, let me show you that real quick. This is the infrared. You see the cylinders?
Uh-huh.
They're both turned off. So it's reading them. So if I cover one of them, it'll go away. You see that?
Yeah.
That's what the infrared does. I just want you to know.
Okay.
On the back here, you have your nitric oxide hose. Take that off by pushing the sleeve, and then you depressure it by using this. There's a little pin here. You just let it out and reconnect it, because you don't want to leave stagnant gas. That's it. Cool?
Yeah.
So that part's done. This is ready to go. Do you want to set it up on a bed? Why not? Sure. Let's do it.
On this one?
Yeah.
Well, this one's already on.
We can take that off. Just take that one off.
Do I need this piece?
You do.
Okay.
So here, this is what you want to do. Keep that piece with this. This comes off because you have to set the ambu bag up here. Okay, just wrap this up. Leave it for the next machine, or you can just put it in the bag. Okay. Then we're gonna grab the vent. Okay, the injector module. So take off this piece. And then this 15 millimeter adapter goes on that side. Okay, just hold that for a second, okay? So this is your injector module. It has to have flow, right? So you're gonna put this before the heater because if you get any condensation in here, it's gonna mess it up, okay? So it has to go before the heater. It doesn't matter if you wanna put it before or after the filter because it's gas. Your filter will not filter gas. It only filters viral particles, right? It has to be a certain size deposition. Okay, so that's dosing your flow. Okay,
And then you want the arrow to be pointing down? I guess that's the only
Yeah.
way that it
to the
fits.
patient,
Okay.
to the heater, to the patient, right?
Got it, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is your sample line. Sample line always goes. Remember, like putting a T-piece in line nebulizer. It's always going to go on what side?
It's inspiratory.
The inspiratory side, and you always want it away from the Y, just like a T-piece. Don't they tell you put it about 7 inches from the Y, 6 to 7 inches from the Y? So then this pops off, this pops on, and you have your 15 millimeter adapter to fit that. Okay, just like that. The only other thing I would say is you always want your lines up because you don't want condensation or water to get inside there. It's going to mess up your sample line. Okay. So I have my dosing or injector module here. I have my sample line there. I've seen people do this, so I'm just telling you guys, you know what I've seen. I've seen people actually take this and we're not putting that on patient, right?
I hope not.
I hope not. There we go. I've seen people do
Oh,
this.
no. Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
It's way too close.
And the flow will be off. Right?
What's gonna happen with your flow?
It's going to be off because it's not calculating what that's going to 10
What,
meters.
so what'll get messed up? What would you expect to see on your monitor?
So it's getting less.
It's tricky, huh? So are you on inspiratory or expiratory?
It's going to mess
Both.
it up. It's
You're on
gonna be
both. Yeah. So you're gonna dose the patient, and then you're not gonna dose the patient. You're gonna dose the patient, not gonna dose the patient. What I'm saying is this: your machine's getting feedback saying I need to dose this patient, right? And then it's gonna read a high dose and a low dose and a high dose and a low dose. So your numbers will fluctuate greatly. You can't maintain a number. If you notice that they're fluctuating pretty big, you know it's a sample line issue. Yeah. Now, if your numbers are deviating, let's say you set like 20 parts per million and it deviated to like 28 parts per million, they say normal is like 3 to 5 difference. So if you have a 3 to 5 difference, that's okay. It's tolerable is what they say. If you see a gap of 5, you should be calibrating. Okay? Because it shouldn't be that big. You're starting to deviate pretty big. Also, there's a high range calibration that not everybody gets taught to do, so that probably needs to be checked. Okay, that has to happen once a month. But with this, you'll see a big difference in that, and it just won't maintain. Okay, so if you see big gaps like 5 or greater, let us know, and we'll do it. I always will go into a low range cal, and then I'll go into a high range cal. So if you hit these pages right here, my high range cal was due when?
Last one?
Yeah. Would you expect that my numbers are going to be right?
No.
No. So I need to do a high range count. So that's going to be off, right?
So do we need to do that pre-use check? That's what we already went through. All of
We already
those
did that.
things. Okay.
Yeah.
And then same with the low cal. That was
Low cal is automatically
just
done.
Okay.
Yeah. Remember when I turned it on?
Yeah.
It was doing a low cal.
I'm just making sure that whenever we get asked these questions.
And the high range cal, we only have certain people do that. You guys don't have to worry about that.
Until the next school year.
Until, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's right. It should always build upon itself.
You need those
It
things.
should get harder gradually.
Okay. And that's that, yeah?
That's that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I attached the wrong one, sorry.